I'm going to bring to you the concept of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, but I'm presenting it in a different way, in a practical way that is actually going to be beneficial to your life. You're going to get real takeaways that you can apply and see real changes in your life. Let's get into it. Now, navigating life can be pretty difficult. The ability to balance basic needs like food, shelter, and an income, while at the same time feeling like you're leading a meaningful existence, is a daunting task. It is in such serious matters that we appreciate actually the great minds that have put in place any kind of guidelines to be able not just to survive, but actually flourish. One of these is known as Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And it is a very popular model. However, most explanations and interpretations of it don't seem to integrate its usefulness as intended. See, Abraham Maslow was a psychologist in around 1943. He published his work on his hierarchy of human needs that later came to be popularized in the form of a pyramid. There have been several critiques of this, but the representation of his legendary work in pyramid form does serve three very important purposes. And I'm going to break that down in a minute. But for the start, part one, right? The pyramid. So basically, Maslow's pyramid of needs is presented in 5 layers. We have psychological needs, safety, belonging and love, esteem, and finally, self-actualization. Now, physiological needs are needs of the everyday, of the outside, air, water, shelter, sleep, clothing. If these aren't met, the body cannot function properly and all other needs become secondary at that point. So that's the base. You need these before you can have other needs. And number 2, we have safety needs. These are what follow. These come in once physiological needs have been met, because then the focus shifts to security and stability. This includes, personal safety, financial security, good health, protection from harm. So people begin to seek order and predictability and a safe environment overall. And then we go to 3, love and belongingness needs. After feeling safe, people crave social connections. This involves relationships with friends, family, romantic partners, and even community. The need to belong, to give and receive love becomes central at this point. And then we have number 4, esteem needs. Individuals desire respect and recognition, and this includes self-esteem, things like confidence, achievement, independence, and the esteem of others. Status, reputation, appreciation, all these come in here. Fulfilling these needs gives us feelings of worth and value, which is what esteem is in the first place. And then we head on to number 5, the final piece of the original hierarchy, which is self-actualization. At the top is the drive to become the best version of oneself, to realize one's full potential, to pursue personal growth, and to engage in creative or meaningful activities. Activities that bring out your own unique personality. And how I like to think about it, Maslow described this as becoming everything one is capable of becoming. After this, an added sixth level comes in, which is self-transcendence. This is where one seeks to go beyond personal concerns and maybe even help others achieve their potential. But basically, it has to do with not just focusing on yourself. Because when you look at it, the pyramid basically is focused on the self. And self-transcendence aims at what's beyond that. It is important to point out that needs are not strictly sequential. It's not like a video game where you finish one level and you immediately go on to the next in that order. People can be motivated by multiple levels at once, and some may prioritize higher needs even if lower ones aren't fully met. People can work towards esteem needs or even self-actualization before safety is fully met. But the pyramid depicts something very important. It kind of represents how there are fewer people working on the higher needs, and almost everyone is working on the lower ones day to day. And also, the shape represents how higher needs give life direction, as the base provides the support for that. So it helps when you feel misaligned to go back to a model like this one and see what you might actually be leaving out or what you might be neglecting. It is very common in our culture nowadays to emphasize physiological needs, safety and accumulating wealth, while ignoring our needs for relationships, for love, for belonging, and so on. It's common to let our acquisition of lower needs overshadow our self-actualization. The main reason I made this video is not just to show you Maslow's hierarchy. I also intend to explain how it can be practically integrated to help you in life. To understand this, you shouldn't view this as a trek up a mountain, but rather like a sailboat, where definitely the first thing to be secured is the safety of the boat. That's the lower level. That's what the lower levels are for. And after you, the captain, have concluded that it is safe, you've eaten some food, you've drunk some water, perhaps secured a home, and also saved some food for tomorrow, and all these other things, you can begin to set sail. Now, one of the things about sailing is that you need a direction in which to head. This is what is more linear. And this is what you give your energy and focus to. This is, in actual life, the value structure. What have you decided to pursue? Your destination. And how are you going to pursue it? Method and speed. Why are you going to pursue it? Because it's good, because it's moral, it's a passion of yours, and it's going to help others too. That's your self-actualization. Now, giving direction to your boat along the way, you will meet other boats on their own journeys. Aware of them or not, right? Not everyone is aware, like really aware of their target destination or why they want to go there. But these people are the same people that will become your acquaintances. And if you don't know where you're headed, you might pick up someone else's destination. Do you see how this applies to life? Sometimes that person hasn't really thought it through as well. Of course, sailing is not easy, and learning from others is one of the greatest hacks in life. To be able to learn from an experience without having to go through it yourself is valuable. So pay attention to some of the boats around you. There might be a sea monster in the direction that you're taking. Maybe the direction was okay, but the way you planned to get there won't actually enable you to get there. The destination was okay. And you need to learn and maneuver and find another path around. But are you conscious of this? I've touched on an example of how the lowest needs and the highest needs are all working together. These are not levels like the representation may seem to show. It's really less about achieving these needs in a linear system and more about integrating them in your life as a whole. This integrated whole is more powerful than the individual parts just in one place. The interwoven whole is a better way, I'd say. And what I mean here in a practical sense, how can our relationships with people and community contribute to our safety needs? How can our self-actualization contribute to achieving our physiological needs and our esteem needs? Like expression of your ideas, that embodiment can become a source of your income and confidence. Maybe for you, it's through art or music or a certain business or job, whatever it may be. Integrating these pieces while still meeting all these needs is key for a flourishing existence. This is the wisdom of Maslow. He was trying to deliver to us after trying to study for most of his life and his career the fact that life is often this 2 steps forward, 1 step back dynamic, where we choose the growth option, right? But then something happens or we fail in some way, whether due to external circumstances or character inefficiency, and we kind of have to stand back a little bit and reiterate. He understood that self-actualization is a process. Processes by their very nature are turbulent. It's not just as easy as a smooth ride. It's more like giving a boat direction. Self-actualization is becoming everything that you are uniquely capable of becoming. It's about you and your particular personality and externalizing that in the most positive way you can. That's what self-actualization is, and it's really important for you to understand that we cannot live on our spiritual calling alone. Neither can we remain focused on only material wants and needs. In order to be whole, we need both the spiritual and the material to be attended to. The base offers support for your life, and the top offers upward definition and orientation. So practically, we find some of our lives in shambles. You find that we have a very wide base, but we have a suffocating pinnacle, while others may look like the opposite, where we forget to pay due attention to our fragile replenishment needs. And the pyramid, therefore, more than anything, Maslow's pyramid portrays what a life lived in harmony can be represented as. And if you got value out of this video, please comment down below, subscribe, and don't forget to check out Growthplace Premium. The link is in the description. Until next time.